Gilbert. First item is the Pledge of Allegiance. We have a flag in there. It is. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is roll call.
I'll try to speak up. Chairman Anderson?
Yep.
Vice Chair Bloomfield? David Cathy?
Here.
Greg Froelich?
Here.
Brian Johns?
Here.
Les Smith?
Here.
Alternate Phil Belgrandi?
Here.
And alternate James Torgerson? Yes, thank you. You have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Next item is approval of agenda. Looks like we have one item on the agenda tonight. So we were all okay with this. If so, can I get a motion for approval?
Chairman, I move to approve the agenda as printed.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Gaffney. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cole. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Agenda is approved. Next is communications from citizens. At this time, members of the public may comment on matters within the jurisdiction of the town, but not on the agenda. Commission response is limited to responding to criticism and asking staff to review a matter commented upon, or asking that a matter be put on a future agenda. Does anybody here from the public wish to address the commission at this time? Not seeing any. Next, we'll move along to public hearing non-consent items. All items below this are considered a public hearing consent calendar. The commission may, by single motion, approve any number of items. Where after opening the public hearing, no person requests item be removed from the consent calendar. If such a request is made, the commission shall then withdraw the item from the public hearing consent calendar for the purpose of public discussion. Public discussion, separate action. Other items on the agenda may be added to the consent calendar and approved under a single motion. So that paragraph just deal with consent items, and we have a non-consent item, right? So is this word typo on this thing? This is a public hearing consent calendar.
Somebody cut and pasted the wrong paragraph.
Yeah.
Okay. But essentially, we just have a non-consent if we want that word.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right, well then, let's just move on to item 3, GP 809, Northeast Corner 1 and Rucker Roads. And Z 1819. Amy.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Planning Commission. I'm Amy Kent. I'm standing in for Ashley McDonald this evening. We are discussing the major general plan amendment and rezoning at the northeast corner of Recker and Warner Roads. You'll recall that this came to Planning Commission last winter and then to Town Council, at which time the Town Council referred it back to the Planning Commission and asked for reconsideration with a considerable amount of work with the applicant. It has come back before you, and I believe Planner McDonald brought it to you in July of this year for discussion. And with your feedback, we have moved forward to this is the first public hearing of 2 required public hearings for a major general plan amendment. So it will be going to the October 2nd hearing. You will hear it again. And then it will be going to Town Council in October with your recommendation. So with that being said, if you'll recall, the site is 124.8 acres at the northeast corner of Warner and Recker Roads. It is currently vacant and marked. You can see the surrounding uses, Morrison Ranch to the west and to the north. Business park, general commercial and light industrial is planned in the general plan to the east. It is also vacant to the east. And then we're looking at some infill development that's been happening over the years to the south with police station, the charter schools, and a home builder looking at a small parcel across the street. So the existing general plan is on your left. So you can see there's a lot of gray and blue with a little touch of red here and there. The church and the multifamily that you see adjacent to the parcel are constructed at this point in time. And then what you see over here on the proposed is the plan where it's been changed to 30.6 acres of light industrial, and then varying densities of residential, varying from 8 to 14, all the way down to 3.5 to 5. These acreages are the same for the rezoning that is proposed that you see here. You have light industrial and UP existing, once again, it's all vacant. And then you have SFA, so single family attached, 2 parcels of single family detached. Then you have single family 6,000 square feet and single family 7,000 square feet, anchored all by the light industrial along Warner Road, which is in a relationship to the property to the east and to the southeast of the property, where we have light industrial being developed to the southeast. With the planned area development that is being proposed, there are some deviations or modifications, whichever you'd like to call them. Green represents something that is being either set to reflect comfort level with the town or with neighbors, or it is greater than the requirement of the land development code. And the red dot represents something that is less than what is required by the land development code. So you can see under the SFA zoning, which is this little breakdown here, the southwest corner of the property, they are reducing the lot size from around 2,000 square feet to 1,056 square feet. They are attached units. And so with that being said, I'm going to say that is why you're seeing the 100% lot coverage. When you get attached units with shared common open space, there really isn't a lot of private yard. They're not being yarded out, shall we say. Then we also have a rear setback of 0. And let me explain that. The building actually has a cantilever over the driveway apron. The driveway apron by code is supposed to be 3 feet minimum. And it has to be either 3 foot or 20 foot. There's no in between. So in order to let their cantilever occur, they have to have 0 setback because the cantilever is tucked in under the building. Or the cantilever is over the apron, which is tucked in under the building. So lot dimensions are being specified so that there's a comfort level with what is the minimum. And it is being limited to 2-story, which is 3-story for comfort level also. And then the 50 by 220, which is typically 250, those numbers we're thinking of making an amendment to say that if you take the 50 by 250 in both directions for each arterial, it adds up to 22,500 square feet. So in the ordinance, we're thinking of stating that their open space at the intersection, right down here, you see the red dot, has to be equal to or greater than 22,500 square feet. We're okay with the shape morphing a little. It doesn't have to be the perfect rectangles, and we've had a number of projects lately that they haven't been the perfect rectangles. Some of you may recall that we have had some amendments lately that have adjusted it, but the standing rule is you must meet or exceed what that 50 by 250 is trying to obtain. And so we think they're going to be 220 by 280, give or take, when this is all platted out in the end. But some of those nuances actually happen during platting. So we want to allow a little bit of flexibility because what we don't want to do is lock a number in and they go, oh, it's not quite working. So we're thinking to go ahead and put it as a square footage instead of an actual dimensional requirement. Under the SFD, which SFDs are parcel E and parcel B, once again, we're specifying lot dimensions. The applicant has asked to limit to 2-story, 20 foot to front facing garage, which is the standard for a driveway. That is the absolute minimum to a front facing garage that is allowed. 8 foot to livable, 5 and 5 sides, where SFD allows 0 and 5. So they're choosing to make each side a little more. And then 5 and 15, 5 foot to covered patio, 15 foot rear yard. So these are they're very much based on a specific product. And so staff has been reviewing the actual product along with this application so that we know it's all going hand in hand. As the pre-plat moves forward, there's no hiccups occurring. With the single family 6,000 square foot, lot dimensions are being specified, so 6,000s are in this area. Limiting to 2-story, 20 and 10, so 10 to livable porch or side entry garage. We do have PADs around town that do have very similar setbacks. And other than that, SF6 is meeting code. SF7, which are up here and sort of buffering the Morrison Ranch area, lot dimensions are being specified for comfort levels. 20 foot for the front facing garage, again, 10 foot to livable porch or side entry garage. And then the one other modification that is being discussed or proposed by the applicant is LI buffer to residential. So right here is light industrial, and so there's a 20-foot buffer that is being proposed along here that is reducing, and that is being reduced because there's also on the other side landscape parking, a road, so you've got quite a good buffer on the residential side also. And the development plan will be the document that they need to be when they move forward with their plat. The applicant needs to be in substantial conformance with this document. So generally, it will look like this. Now, the light industrial is concept only, so based on how they move forward, some of these buildings may change a little, parking may shift a little. So there is some flexibility in the future with what happens here, but the residential pattern is locking in. So, but we have been through the residential component to look at parking on the street, trash pickup, and all those other nuances. So there really are issues with the preliminary plat, but we're going to go ahead and look at them now, not us, but staff has looked at them now, once again, to make sure that there's no conflict in the future. With that being said, this is for input only. There is no motion this evening because this is the first of 2 public hearings. There is no motion. If you have any comments or questions about the overall development plan, GP, rezoning, or any of the deviations requested, I'm happy to talk to that. The applicant is here this evening, and he has a full presentation, and he'll go into a lot more nuances than I did. But here you have the schedule, just as I stated at the beginning, of what's coming in the future. And I hope that answered any questions you may have. If you have questions for me now, I can answer them now or later, and we can let the applicant make his presentation.
Thank you. Does anybody have any comment or questions for staff right now? So I guess just a history question for me. We did see this some time ago. Gave a recommendation, and now it's back before us again. So what's the history as to why it's back before us again?
There was some concern at the council discussion, and maybe the applicant can speak to it a little more, but it's my understanding that the lack of light industrial, that no employment was left after there was all this employment on this huge section of land, and there was none left. And so one of the comments that staff made and that some of the council members made was there should still be some light industrial here. So that's where the discussion went back, and the commercial was removed from the corner, and light industrial was added here. That relates to the light industrial over here and happening to the southeast and below. So it was a morphing of what was proposed before with trying to get some of that employment back in.
All right. I did have another question, but it popped out of my head, so I'll let the applicant come up and do their presentation, and if it pops back in, I will ask it.
You can hear me. Okay. I always wanted to be a sportscaster, but this is probably the closest I'll ever get. It's hotel microphone. Thanks for your time. A little analogy. There's a time when I remember trying to learn how to jump on my BMX bike and going over the handlebars. And then my friend told me you need to go faster. And I went over I did the second time faster and still went over the handlebars. The third time when I learned you need to lean back and you can land it. I think it's a little bit of what it's like for this case today. They went through the first time and some lessons learned, and more importantly, some instruction and direction to come back the second time and figure out how to properly land this kind of case. And let me walk you through this a little bit today. I'll skip the first 2 slides because we've already covered that. This is the general plan back in 2009. And the reason why I want to start here is this area, the north half of the site, was all zone residential, and at kind of a higher density to about 5 to 8. So your medium to high density. There was some business park on the south. And what I'm going to propose to you today, with the number of residential lots we have, is still less than the amount of residential lots you could have had back in 2009. In 2009 or so, the prior owner decided to bring forth an industrial plan with business park component to it. That's the type of product they build as their market, their style, their development trends and patterns. They believe that this could be an opportunity. And so rightfully so, they petitioned the city to say, city made the request, the accommodation, and this was the plan that was approved at the request of the owner. And since that time, at least for 10 years, or probably much longer, they have not been able to find a user that's been willing to develop within the constraints of this plan here today. Again, this was created by the prior owner, and with significant effort, no particular success. And so when the applicant last year came forward with a proposal, understandably, the proposal was based on the whole site going residential. And the result at the end of the day by this commission was full support. But at the end of the day by council, an initial denial before council reconsidered and said, we don't like the way this tastes in our mouth. There's probably a way to make this work. Go back to the drawing board. And I appreciate that consideration because what that's done is allowed us to go forward and do more community building, more stakeholder meetings. And more importantly, I couldn't be here today without the help of Amy, actually, who's not here, Kyle, Eva, Dan Henderson. Those folks were really instructive and giving us the key needed to develop. And after that, we met with council members, we met with the Chamber of Commerce, we met with residents nearby, and started to put together the outlines of a component of a plan that we could have confidence in bringing for you today. So the first question is, why do you need to change the zoning? Why do you need to change the general plan category? What's wrong with LI and BP? And I'm going to say there's nothing wrong with it. I think this is really about right-sizing it to what is appropriate and proper for this site. But here's some key considerations that you can't ignore. First of all, Record Road is a street with a residential character. It is not an employment or a commercial corridor. Secondly, you have a 202 just south of this property, yet with no direct access. You either got to go left or right to get to a freeway. Third, there is a bit of a competitive disadvantage. I'll get to that a little bit, but it's related to opportunity zones directly close to this site. Fourth, you have residential on 3 sides, and significant residential and key components of the town, namely Morrison Ranch. You try to develop sensitive to those surroundings. And then fifth and final, we are 1 mile removed from Power Road, and there is a Power Road growth area. And while we are removed, I'm going to show you later on how I think we best fit in with that and can accomplish those goals. Let's talk about the Record Road. It is primarily residential. This is a street I live on, ironically, so I can speak to it with confidence. And it's very much narrower than your other arterial streets in the town. And I think that's largely because it's a different designation, because it has a different character and a feel to it. At one point, all those corners at every intersection were zoned commercial previously. But over time, those commercials have been removed. Morrison Ranch rezoned to put residential in there. The stuff south of Warner were rezoned, or maybe not rezoned, but built with charter schools. And so, little by little, they've all been picked off. And I don't think it's intentional. I think that's just the pattern of that area. It's kind of like Lindsay Road in Gilbert. Those 2 roads, while they're arterials, have not developed with a commercial or employment category. And mainly because here it dead ends at Pecos Shore to the south and Baseline Road to the north. So you don't have the same arterial running north and south. So users, shoppers, developers, they choose more highly trafficked areas. And I like to call it as a school corridor. I counted 8 schools between Baseline Road down to Pecos Road. Some of them are charter, some of them are middle schools, some are elementary, some are high school. So this is probably a school corridor road, unless more than anything else. And there is one commercial corner, and that's at Guadalupe Road. But that's the only one that's really been successful, although I do know that Cooley Station is bringing on 2 corners, and maybe even a third and a fourth. But I can commit to you today that the intensity of commercial that's planned there and actively moving forward at this moment today will be plenty enough to absorb what is already planned along that road. Let's talk about the lack of freeway access. I'll just skip this quickly, but we either go this way or this way when the 202 is right here with no access point. It's maybe a perception more than a reality, but still a hurdle for users who are looking to build employment uses here. And opportunity zones, created in 2017 by the government, by the Congress. It was a chance to create jobs, cut taxes, and they provided a tremendous incentive. Now you got to hold these properties 10 years. But the idea is you can significantly waive and avoid capital gains tax. And some people have estimated about a 25% cost difference of savings. And when you start to look at that, you start to see this. Here's the town's opportunity zone. It's in the Heritage Square. Ironically, this might be the last area you might need an opportunity zone with all the interest that's happening in Heritage by itself. And here's that related to our property in red. And here's the Mesa opportunity zone. You've seen this before, but I think it's worth highlighting again. It's hard to compete with a property right across the street from you can attract users at a cheaper value because they know they can offset that with the tax savings to the opportunity zone. It is not a casual consideration. It is rather large for this. The fourth part is, I look at this as a puzzle piece, But something stands out here, and it's this little edge that runs into the residential area. Because you have residential on three sides, it starts to tell you there's a pattern and a need, a necessity, something more compatible with that. And then lastly, the Power Road growth area. This is the Power Road growth area, but it dog legs out this area and comes back. What I like about this exhibit, though, is that it shows all this area in red. This is the half mile. This is record, this is power, this is the half mile in between. Basically, we call it 180 street alignment. All of this is residential, except for some school, public facilities, properties here and there, and our side. I think it's important to know that we are a bit of an anomaly compared to the rest. It's a distinction that was, I think, chosen by the prior owner. And I think the town was wise to include it in the Power Road growth area, because why wouldn't you? You got this amazing opportunity corridor here, there's an industrial property next to it. It seems logical to include it there. But frankly, if the prior owner had not asked to rezone this property industrial, the town would have never included it to begin with. The plan, based on those factors, the reason why this property has, I guess, waited forever, back then they came in with this plan. I only bring it up to give you some perspective. I think you need to understand where we started and know where we're going. And this was the plan brought to you last year. This was the site plan, concept plan. You didn't get this too far around because they couldn't get past the general plan before they could do this concept. But this area here was commercial and the rest was residential. And I think this was a really good land plan than probably anywhere else in the town. But one thing that we heard clearly was, where's the employment? Why is that missing? And like I said, sometimes you have to go over the handlebars of your bike and learn a couple of lessons. And I think that's why we're here today, to talk about this. Our proposal today is a little bit different. But this was the key consideration there from staff. I think this answers your question, Chairman Anderson. There was a legitimate concern about the loss of employment. There also was a concern about where is the office opportunity if we just give up on that idea. The third point is there any impact that our residential will have on the vacant land east? It's designated for employment, business park. How do we make sure that what you do doesn't impact that use and actually be successful? The fourth part was, great, you're bringing in a residential neighborhood, but where is your character? Where do you set it apart as unique? What makes this so special that we should make this big change? And then fifth and final, how do we tie these neighborhoods together? Where is the interconnectivity? And so we took those key considerations, and what we did, we started to build relationships with the key people who could guide us in that. I can't tell you how many meetings I've had with Amy, Eva, and Ashley to help us get through the minute details, which are probably something you don't tackle at this stage of the process. But if I can't solve those on the second round, it doesn't make any sense for me to start. Meeting with the chamber president, figuring out what matters to you and how I can get a project there for your attention. Understanding the sentiments of the councilman to figure out how can I bring something that addresses your concerns. And that's what you start to see us working through today. So I've got 18 points that I got from all these stakeholder meetings. And I'm going to show you how I did this. Anywhere else, I think somebody would have given up. But in this case, we thought it was doable, and we had enough land to make it work. And I'm going to walk you through how we started to tackle every one of these things. This first page is just 10 items related to the industrial component only. And on this next page are eight more items related to the residential component. I don't think that might be, but I want you to understand the degree of change we're going to go to make this work. So let me walk you through it a little bit. First of all, we needed to set aside some land for industrial. And it couldn't just be a guess. Because if I guessed, I probably would have just said this area right here, or maybe this area right here. But what we heard from staff, and particularly economic development, and some council members was, how do we know that's real? How do we know you don't put something on the map and come back in 5 years and change it to apartments? And yeah, but it doesn't work. So we went out and met with industrial brokers, industrial developers, and industrial designers to figure out what does a realistic land plan look like. And what we learned is we would have made a mistake if we had just come in with a number. We actually learned that we needed to make it a little bit wider, but also a little bit deeper. And at one point, we started to hear that there's these roads that we need to, driveways that we need to line up with. Through the chamber, we heard we need to go a little bit deeper along this side. And as a result, from some of the councilors, we heard, yeah, I like to see buildings here, but what if this goes office? How do you make sure office come right here? And so besides just showing industrial buildings, we over-parked it. And so what you'll start to see here is 792 feet deep, 1965 wide. That is purposely designed. That can give us about 250,000 square feet of building space. And if someone doesn't want to build office, and you have less parking required, you can actually build more square feet. So we've parked this at an office ratio for that reason. If you look at it, we even internalized our truck bells. So so they're not backing up to the residence, rather than they're in the center of it. We've coordinated our driveways with all the roads right across the street and the future alignments. We overparked it. And lastly, we started putting in landscape buffers. And once we could find some consensus on this area here, we could start to build in the rest. And you'll like, look at this, I liken it to Larry and a cake. And we heard from the key stakeholders to put your greater density next to here, and then work your way back out. And so that's what we intended and started to do. Lastly, we had to analyze what we do here and how it impacts over here. And so we even went to a designer and had them model, what does it look like when you have a building, parking spaces, drive-by, loading zones, landscaping, and then more parking spaces in the wall. Under the light industrial, you have to have at least 75 feet from residential building line, from building to the resident property line. So by going through that exercise, we can model and show it doesn't matter if it's in the back of the building, inside of the building, or the front of the building, with all the other requirements for drive aisles and parking spaces, you can make it work. I think that puts staff at ease for the first time, that whatever we do here, won't impact what's happening to the east side. Then we heard from everybody to provide interconnectivity, so people living up here can walk and come to the schools down here. And so these blue lines start to represent the different pathways and trail connections that feed the development. I had to put them in blue because on the exhibit, on this map, you can't see it. But if you look closely at your exhibit, you'll see the pathways, and they meander through. I just kept the real simple straight lines, but they meander through. And purposefully, they bring you to the central park on all sides. And they bring you, there's even a connection point here. If someone were to work here, could walk through, and also bring you out this way. And then lastly, from staff, they said, I know it's early, but we want to see how you can put your off-street parking in a way so you don't just see cars stacking the road on Christmas Day that also happens to be trash and recycle day. And so we did a parking plan that shows on the same day that trash, recycle picked up, we can provide all the gas parking you require for code. And then we try to take it off the street. Oops. And so we started to put them on within the park amenity space. And then in these little pocket areas here. So all these little red dots show parking that's pulled off of the street to address staff concerns. Again, a little early at this phase, but one thing I wanted you to know is we took those considerations seriously. Before I go on the next slide, I got to brag a little bit about Lennar. What Lennar wanted to do was to create something special. They did that through both their product. They have this idea called Next Gen. Next Gen is a home within a home. So if your elderly parents need to come back and live with you, there's a space within your home. They have their own independent space with their own separate doorway once you walk in. If you have, unfortunately, a child that's failed to lunch and needs to come back and live with you, they can come there. Or if you have a child with special needs, life limitations, they can live independently yet still live attached to you. This community is designed to provide that next gen. The also thing they want to do is have the All Connect, which is an opportunity to have a fully home automated residential plan. So you can walk in the doors, turn on lights, and the lights turn on, or the AC turns on. And these are types of considerations you don't have. Now this is part of the bill, but let me talk about the community itself. Warner Meadows recognizes the agrarian character of this area. And so they're designed to have a refined, rustic feel that also still has a bit of a contemporary feature to it. The interconnectivity of the trails ties this all together. But this is not a mistake that is designed with the central park feel. Any other community would have a street that cuts straight through. By creating this pastel that goes around, you force residents to enjoy and activate this residential area of the central park amenity. In fact, one concept they have here is to make it all Wi-Fi available. And as you come into this next slide, this is the amenity. This is the why you have the PA deviations. You can create something that's unique and identifiable that you don't get very often. You have in Narcotopia, you have at North Ranch, and maybe some of the other few neighbors in Gilbert. This one wants to set itself above and start to create something really interesting. And so this is the common open space area. Here's some different renderings on those flop, draw it back and forth through. But rather than just putting grass out there, they want to have the older teenager recreation areas, younger teenager recreation areas, pool areas, fields, event lawns, resident clubhouses. These plans are still being refined through the process, but as we consider these conceptual exhibits, we really want to provide both active recreation so you can relax, you can recreate, you can get to know your neighbors. This is something that you don't get to see when you're planning a 14-acre neighborhood. When you're planning 125 acres, you can really create something special. But this is the interior. The next thing I want to do is focus on the theming. And so standing yourself apart requires something dramatic. And one of the key considerations from the June president was, so where's your key entry feature? What makes this so special from the street? And so so we started to look at this and create something that's on the list that really sets itself out as something that catches your attention. And so this will be at the intersection of this study. And this will be refined, but these are original concepts and exhibits that we'll work through with staff. But at Record and Warner, you'll see something like this that really stands out as Warner Meadows. And then this is our entry feature from Record Road, our main road. And this exhibit here is this little monument here, and we have a separate monument that runs this way. But the central open boulevard that feeds into the other. We're just really trying to create a dynamic identity that you don't get to see with every other residential neighborhood. I did mention the Power Road growth area, and I don't want to ignore that. I do think it's odd that it stands out like this way, but I can tell you it's purposeful. It's because this plan was zoned, and the city was wise to try to include it because it made natural sense. But it's without distinction, because frankly, if it hadn't been zoned that way, they never would have included it. I do think it's odd that all this land here is between a half-mile mark, and this is only comes a mile over. But I do believe that we are the solution to this. And by setting aside 30.6 acres, we set it aside not just in the land or in the middle, but in the area most likely to develop. And that's the Warner Road frontage. Why does that matter? When we've spoken with the industrial users out there and the industrial designers and brokers, they need a window frontage. That's going to reflect industrial in your office. And having that window frontage along the road makes it far more likely to develop than if you were to put it along your eastern side. So what we can do with this plan is provide the linkage. Once we can put the industrial here, it almost commits this land east of us to follow the same suit. So at the end of the day, and I'll recap with this provides tremendous benefits. Lesson learned, and maybe kind of a how did you miss this to begin with? But having employment along Warner Road is the most obvious thing. It provides 30 acres of real legitimate employment in an area most likely to develop, and at its frontage, most likely to reach the arterial the freeway interchanges. It is consistent with the goals of policy general plan, and that's been noted in your staff report. I don't need to eventually cover that. But I think this is really about right-sizing it, and that's what I think this case matters and why it makes it successful. Because as you right-size it, you also can plan the balance of it to fit the character of the stuff that's around Morrison Ranch in particular. It does provide those neighborhood connections, and everybody has suggested that it does create a unique, different community that you don't normally get in Gilbert, and one that we think is critical to the success of this. At the end of the day, when I think about Record Road, it really is a residential neighborhood. It's a residential character with a school emphasis. And finally, we bring something that doesn't change the nature of Record Road, but it does promote the future of Warner Road, and more importantly, I think provides a missing link between Power Road. And at the end of the day, this does, I think, support the goals and policies of the Price Road growth area and general plan. I hope that would be done in 10 minutes, but I've run a little long. I'll be happy to end. And I know that this is not a voting action item. It's an information special session, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I have a question, Adam. I'll turn this on. I really like the multi-use feature of this parcel. I think you've planned it well. My curiosity is how you see this developing. You have like 4 or 5 parcels, right? Where would you begin? How would it begin to develop?
Excellent question. Let me answer that with a statement ahead of it. The problem we have in Gilbert is we're a victim of our own success. And at some point, Gilbert doesn't become affordable anymore. And people are police officers who find it hard to live out here and own a home. What I like about our community, we have single-family attached townhomes, motor court, and then graduated single-family homes. That allows people to buy into Gilbert and then over time invest and move up. That's why the SFA is so great and the SFD. What would come first, I'm going to have to defer to Todd. Todd with Lennar, you might want to give your name for the record just so they have it and then explain how you're facing my work.
Good morning. Todd Squirrel, Vice President of Land Project Management for Lennar. To answer your question about phasing, we would basically create all of the residential, attached and detached, as a single phase. So that's 5 product lines, or basically 5 storefronts for Lennar. We're going to sell all 5 concurrently at the same time. And then light industrial would come along as the market would dictate.
Thank you.
So to me, it seems like the market, there's been light industrial zone for that for how many years?
Since 2006, 2004, actually, it's last
So,
South Half.
long time, so market really hasn't dictated to develop that yet. So what happens if that doesn't change?
That doesn't change, we'll be back in front of you again with another request.
Okay.
But frankly, I don't intend that to happen. It might be a different attorney or a different group, but the reality is any citizen that petition, the right to petition the government for change.
Okay. Any other comments, questions?
I guess along those lines, how long do you think it would give that a chance to develop the plan?
Adam, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, the question was, how long do you think you give a chance to develop it? And I may defer to the ownership here today, and as I do that, I'll say one thing. The difference between last year and this year is actually laying out a conceptual plan and having people help market that out a little bit. Has given a lot more teeth to something that's not just conceptual, but purposeful and intent.
Well said, Ed Grant with Northeast Corner Rec and Market Ownership. So we have actually solicited significant input from a couple of industrial brokers that are very eager to be able to try and sell this. And so this will be a very meaningful endeavor to try and make that happen.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so Adam, great pitch, and I hear the challenges, the positives of it. Walk me through the variances requested. I see a few things like lot sizes, and I understand the balance. I appreciate the dedication to some employment opportunity. I think you're right, it'll develop as you're able to best market it and so forth. But walk me through a few. I mean, some of the things I had noted were lot areas, get some setback changes. Is it just the product that's being offered? Is it, what is the rationale for the variance?
Thank you for that opportunity. Can I walk up here and kind of point out a few things? Because I think it looks heavier than it really is. The reality is most of the deviations affect this product right here. In a normal world, this type of product would be in a multifamily low category. And in a multifamily low category, we wouldn't need any of the deviations. The reason why we requested SFA was simply to avoid the opportunity of someone coming in and doing multifamily if we had zoned it multifamily. I think there's a sensitivity to that. I don't know if that's a legitimate concern in my mind, but for the public perception and for some of the legislative body, not bringing in, putting SFA rather than multifamily low avoids the possibility of dwellings. So the deviations you see there really is just to build the townhome product here, which is the same townhome product right down here at Williams Field and Record. Designed the same, nothing different there. It's just that one's MFL and this one's zoned SFA. That's the exact same product. As it relates to this one, the only deviation is actually the setback. We comply with the setback of 15 feet. It's to have the patio, if you have a patio overhang, to let that encroach closer to the property line. But the building itself observes the requirement for the setback standards. The deviation for the SF7 product, I believe, is to reduce the width of the lot, but in exchange, we increase the depth of the lot.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm good with that. But there's one SF6 had you're going two-story where one is allowed. So what's the thinking there?
Oh, yes, let me address that. You can have 2 stories in any of the product, but next to non-residential uses or apartment uses, you're supposed to have a single-story home next to that. We're asking for deviation only because all of this right here is actually just covered garages or covered parking. They're not actual units. The units are about 100 feet or so away. And so by having 2-story here, it meets the same intent of the code. I think the purpose was they didn't want apartments looking right in the backyard, but because the apartments are set 100 feet back, it seemed like a reasonable request that staff would support. And then lastly, I think Amy hit this, but we're asking to reduce one of the lengths of these sides, but at the end of the day, whatever side we reduce, the other side will increase. So at the end of the day, it'll be the same total square feet or more, whatever you have in the code.
Okay, thank you.
But one other deviation I skipped. We are asking for a 20-foot landscape setback here instead of 30. And that's because on the other side of the wall, staff asked us to put some more off-street parking. And more landscaping on their side. So collectively, we have 69 feet, but it's just the way we drew the boundary line that kind of cut down the middle.
Thank you. Anyone else?
After you added the parking in, that was requested, what did that do to the open space requirements for still meeting those?
Yeah, we exceed, I think we have about 23 acres total of open space. We exceed all those requirements. Understandably, the moment you start putting off-street parking, you do start cutting the landscape, but we already had over-designed it with substantial landscape to begin with. And I think what the trade-off here is to avoid, you've all visited a friend of neighborhood where it's trash day and there's parking on the street and it's hard to dodge through, worry about a child gutter through. The trade-off for us was to provide that safety by putting these spaces off the street, and that improves visibility. It doesn't, and what you don't see here though is a big, kind of like how this is the Central Park. This is the Central Park Paseo through this area as well, and through this area as well, and so you still have the same common overhang fill.
Anyone else? Thank you. And then you're going to be presenting again next month, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so whatever time you're over today, we'll subtract it from next month. Do you have any comments or questions for staff? Oh, she's still there?
Yeah, just quick, so Amy, just real quick on the, and I know you're covering, but with the variances we just walked through, any comments from staff on those? Is it fully supportive? Anything hesitant on? Or?
Chairman and Commissioners, at this point in time, staff is supportive of the recommendation to move forward with this project.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you, and we'll see this one again next month.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Going to admin items. Admin items, special action, discussion. So move down to 4, and this looks like a sad one. We're losing people tonight. Commissioner Craig Rowland, Commissioner Brian Johns, and Alternate James Ferguson. It's a 2 of the 3 here. Commissioner Johns and Rowland, this is going to be their last commission hearing for the town of Gilbert. And I've known these guys for quite some time. I served with them when the design review board was still around. It's been a pleasure working, serving with you on this. A little sad to see you both go. And I'm not very good at these sort of things. So thank you so much for your time that you put into the town, all your efforts, and, all your knowledge, and any educational thing I was able to pull from you guys during for your comments. Councilwoman Peterson, you want to jump in here and take over on this one?
Thank you, Chairman Anderson. Yes, I would like to thank both Commissioner Froelich and Commissioner Johns for their time on the commission, and like you said, Chairman, all the items that they've been able to offer on their time, and hope to see you doing other things within our great town. Greg, I know you have a lot of projects within Gilbert all the time, and Brian, I know circumstances would be different. You would have been reapplying. It was just a slip up, unfortunately, and I look forward to working with you in any way that I can in the future here in the town of Gilbert. And I have a couple of gifts for you if you'd like to come up. It's hard to juggle the microphone and everything at once. So on behalf of the town, we have certificates of appreciation for both of you. We're going to give you your name tags from the dais, and they have town points for you too. No, it's not any form of cards, you don't get anything. You can't use the coins to get out anything. It's not like you get out of jail free card or anything, but we really do appreciate all your time and efforts in the town of Gilbert, and thank you for everything that you've done, and hope you'll remain active, like I said.